Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we have some absolutely breaking news. You see, it would appear as if China has officially thrown in the towel. You see, just the other day, the Trump administration met numerous Chinese negotiators in Switzerland for high-stakes trade discussions. China's economy is buckling under the relentless pressure of President Trump's tariffs, forcing them to beg for a deal to avoid total collapse. And so after this meeting had concluded, President Trump had this to say. A very good meeting today with China in Switzerland. Many things discussed, much agreed to. A total reset negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. We want to see, for the good of both China and the United States, an opening up of China to American business. Great progress made.
If you thought reality TV couldn't get more surreal, welcome to the latest episode of The Art of the Temporary Deal, starring none other than Donald J. Trump, self-proclaimed master negotiator, Twitter addict turned executive order enthusiast, and now the man behind a 90-day tariff truce with China. Yes, after years of bellowing about China ripping us off, Trump has pressed the pause button on the trade war he basically started himself. Spoiler alert, it's not a peace treaty. It's a 3-month timeout in a slap fight between two economic giants. And naturally, Trump is parading it around like he just ended the Cold War with a McDonald's Happy Meal. Before we dive deeper into this circus of economic confusion, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop your spiciest comment below, especially if you think this truce smells more like burnt toast than a brilliant deal. Or if you've ever tried explaining tariffs to your dog and felt more successful than this administration. Let's break this drama down.
President Trump has secured a monumental reset in trade relations with China, dismantling their predatory economic practices. This triumph fulfills his mission to restore American economic dominance. Here's the truth. President Trump's 145% tariffs on Chinese imports have devastated China's economy with surgical precision. Their manufacturing sector is contracting at an unprecedented rate, signaling catastrophic economic failure across their entire industrial base. Dozens of Chinese banks are teetering on the brink of collapse under financial strain induced by President Trump's tariffs. This banking crisis foreshadows an imminent economic meltdown if China can't secure a deal with President Trump. And so China has come crawling to the negotiating table because really they had no alternative. Initially, they vowed to never negotiate with Trump, but President Trump's tariffs have brought their economy down to its knees, compelling the CCP to beg for relief.
Over the past few years, the U.S. China relationship has been a messier divorce than a Real Housewives reunion. It all started when Trump decided to throw tariffs like confetti, slapping China with import duties as high as 145% on everything from electronics to soybeans. China, not one to back down, hit back with tariffs up to 125% on U.S. goods. Cue the global markets having a collective panic attack, businesses gnashing their teeth, and farmers wondering if their next harvest would go to rot in a barn. Because, thanks to Trump, their largest export market was now a no-go zone. Fast forward to May 2025. With inflation still wearing out its welcome and Wall Street in a daily state of caffeine-fueled anxiety, Trump suddenly remembers that maybe, just maybe, lighting the global economy on fire isn't great for re-election optics. So he sends Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who, let's be honest, sounds more like a character from a CW drama than a financial envoy, to Geneva for high-level talks with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng. The result? A 90-day truce. Not a deal, not a resolution, not a treaty, a truce. You know, like when two middle schoolers agree to stop pulling each other's hair during recess because the principal is watching. The terms are simple on paper, but scream political theater. The U.S. will reduce its tariffs from a suffocating 145% down to a still hefty 30%, while China reciprocates by lowering their tariffs from 125% to a slightly less lethal 10%. Both sides promise to come back to the table before the clock runs out, which is hilarious considering how the last few rounds of negotiations played out. Trump called previous talks a historic success right before they collapsed harder than a crypto startup in 2022. Naturally, Trump strutted out of this announcement with all the bravado of a game show host revealing a new car. His loyal MAGA fan base lapped it up, because who needs facts when you've got vibes? Meanwhile, actual economists scratched their heads and muttered things like token gesture and unsustainable optics. And the global markets? They were so shocked by the sudden whiff of sanity that they actually rallied. The Dow jumped 1,100 260 points. The S&P 500 rose 3.3%, and the Nasdaq leapt by 4.4%. It's as if the markets were saying, thanks for not completely tanking us today, I guess. But let's not pretend this was some grand strategic masterstroke. This is the same man who tanked trade relations with our largest economic rival with the grace of a blindfolded elephant. The tariff war he launched was supposed to punish China, but who got burned? American consumers, small businesses, and farmers. Remember the soybean stockpile crisis? The price hikes at Walmart? The sudden collapse of long-standing trade routes? Trump's policies didn't stick it to the Chinese Communist Party. They stuck it to the American middle class, but hey, at least he got a few applause lines at his rallies. And let's talk about the negotiation venue for a hot second, Geneva. Because nothing says American strength and sovereignty like flying to Switzerland to grovel your way out of an economic mess of your own making. If this were a movie, it would be called Mission Implausible, starring Trump as the orange-faced hero who causes the explosion and then charges the taxpayers for the fire extinguisher. Cue slow-motion walk through the smoke while Born in the USA plays in the background, even though the song's about irony, just like this deal. Also, don't be fooled by the 90-day label. This isn't some strategic trial period. It's a political band-aid slapped on a self-inflicted wound. Trump needs the stock market to look semi-functional for campaign photo ops, and he's hoping voters will have the memory span of a TikTok video. He's banking on the fact that Americans won't realize he created the fire before showing up with a squirt gun. It's like setting your house ablaze and then awarding yourself a medal for using a garden hose. There's also the small matter of China playing the long game. While Trump blusters on Twitter, Truth Social, or whatever echo chamber he's yelling into these days, China is calmly repositioning its supply chains, deepening ties with Europe and Africa, and making deals that don't involve petulant tantrums. This 90-day truce is a speed bump to them. They know Trump's a short-term thinker with a goldfish attention span. All they have to do is smile, nod, and wait, kind of like how you deal with a toddler mid-tantrum at Target. The implications of this truce are as thin as Trump's grasp on the Constitution. Sure, prices might dip slightly for a few months, maybe a few container ships get moving again, but this doesn't address the core structural issues that sparked the trade war in the first place. Intellectual property theft, unfair subsidies, cybersecurity threats, none of that is resolved. Trump didn't get concessions, he got a delay. It's like getting a rain check for a broken promise, or being told your meal is on the house right after they set the table on fire. Meanwhile, the political analysis is crystal clear. This is campaign optics, plain and simple. Trump is trying to look like a statesman while acting like a salesman. He's more interested in headlines than headlines that hold up. His strategy, if you can call it that, is to create chaos and then pretend he fixed it, counting on his base to forget the part where he broke everything to begin with. It's like being proud of cleaning up a mess you made while still standing in it ankle deep in glitter and debt. And you have to love the irony. This entire saga started with Trump accusing China of manipulation and aggression, only to end up begging for a timeout because the economic fallout was getting harder to ignore. It's like setting your kitchen on fire because you don't like the oven, then congratulating yourself for calling the fire department. Bonus points if you then bill your neighbors for the damage. So what happens after the 90 days? Probably more drama, more posturing, and if history is any guide, another round of punitive tariffs once Trump decides he needs a new headline. Because let's be honest, this isn't about policy. It never was. It's about performance, spectacle, and the illusion of control. And Trump, ever the showman, knows how to sell illusion better than anyone else. Just don't look too closely at the price tag. It's marked up, full of hidden fees, and comes with no return policy. At the end of the day, the 90-day tariff truce is less about global diplomacy and more about a man trying to spin disaster into a photo op. Trump didn't solve the trade war. He hit the snooze button. And when the alarm rings again, we'll still be stuck in the same messy room, wondering how the guy who caused the mess got invited back to clean it up. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Diplomacy or Disaster. Spoiler, it's a disaster. If you enjoyed watching Trump juggle flaming economic policies with all the finesse of a raccoon in a tuxedo, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the notification bell so you never miss another installment of fiscal mayhem, geopolitical facepalms, and of course, America's favorite orange wildcard. Until next time, stay sharp, stay snarky, and stay sane. And maybe keep a fire extinguisher nearby. You never know when another Trump trade plan is going to go up in smoke.